10 years ago, the Nottingham set out to do good in its local communities. Since then, we have donated more than £1.2 million to help them thrive, just like our founder, Samuel Fox. Visit us at thenottingham.com to find out more.
So I am delighted to welcome Andy Bohmbach to the Nottingham Panthers Audio Experience. So Andy, how are you?
I am good. I'm happy to be talking about the Panthers again. It's been a while.
So what is it that you're up to these days?
Yeah, I'm just an everyday working man now. I work for a cybersecurity company here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I'm in the sales side of things. Been doing that for the last 4 years since Nottingham, actually. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit different than playing hockey, but it's good. Everything's good.
And Nottingham was the last stop on your professional ice hockey journey. I think a lot of people were confused about why that was the last stop and why you retired at such a young age.
Yeah, I just think, sometimes you think, when it's time, and I'm ready to move on and try something else. Obviously, played hockey my entire life, and I think it made it a lot easier to retire after you win a championship when you win your last game. So I thought it was a good way out, and obviously we were able to have a really good season and win the championship at the end. So I thought it was a good time to end on a high note and try something else. But yeah, maybe things would have changed if we would have lost that last game, or maybe we would have came back for another year. We never know, but that's just the what if game. So yeah.
And it's always good to go when people ask why rather than why not.
Exactly.
So what was it? Because you were already playing in Europe before you came to Nottingham. What was it that brought you to the Elite League? What was the conversation? Was it Corey who reached out to you? Was it your agent that got in touch with him, and then it started to snowball from there? How did that process work?
Yeah, I think there was some interest from Corey at first, and I had a bunch of options that year. I first played in Germany in the second league, and then I went to Austria in the EBL, and then I had some options, either go back to Austria or go back to Germany, or I had some teams in Sweden that were interested. But it was I talked to Corey, and he seemed like an awesome coach, and I know some players that have played not in Nottingham but around the league, whether that was in Belfast or Sheffield or a couple other teams. So I knew some people that played in the league, and I haven't heard a bad thing about the league, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it playing in England. And yeah, everyone, it also helps that it's English speaking, so a little bit more enjoyable outside of the office, outside of the rink. So and I do not regret that decision, because what a great team to be on, and what a journey it was. And I still tell people, to this day, when they ask what was one of your favorite years of playing professionally, for sure it was in Nottingham. I had some good younger moments in my life in college and in high school when I grew up with some of my old friends that I grew up with, but 100% professionally, and one of the best years I've ever had in my hockey career was definitely playing in Nottingham.
And when you look at that team you were on in Nottingham, you look at the names, that team was so good.
Very good. Very sneaky good. I don't think we knew how good we were for a long time. And, we played well at the beginning, and then I think we had a couple, bad streaks where we were struggling to win a few games, but then we'd pick it back up. And then we really just started to pick up steam towards the end of the year, and it was hard to beat us. And yeah, we had a whole lot of good players on that team, whether, it was Clarke, leading the charge, or, it was Kolnik and Cam, running around with his head cut off and trying to kill people out there. So we had a little bit of everything, and defense was good, and goalie was good, and it was just a solid team all the way around.
And for some, you mentioned Juraj Kolnik there, and some people will not have seen Juraj Kolnik play. Could you just give it a taste, just to how good a player he was?
Yeah, he was. You could tell he played in the NHL. Let's just say that. I think you can tell when maybe guys have you peaked in the American Hockey League or in some other league, and obviously really good players, really good skill. But when you see someone like Juraj play, and some of the things that he can do on the ice, you're like, okay, well, I understand. Well, he had a bunch of points in the NHL, the best league in the world. So I get it. I understand. When you practice with him every day and you see some of the things that he does in games, and same with Brad Moran, when they played together on a line for a long time, that line was just almost unstoppable. So yeah, some real good players on that team.
And when you get to Nottingham, you get to lay your eyes, like obviously Corey sold you on the arena, the city, and all that. What are your first impressions of the arena when you get to see it?
I really enjoyed it. I remember just walking in and then looking kind of down onto the ice from the main level up top, and what a cool rink! What a perfect professional hockey rink. I think anyone that plays. I had a friend that played in Sheffield, Michael Davies. Maybe some of the Nottingham fans know playing against him, but
he had a bit of an incident in Nottingham.
He had a few incidents. Yeah, he had a few incidents. But he was one of my good college friends, and he lives in Minneapolis now. And he even said when we were talking the other night about some of the best rinks in Europe, and he always mentioned how fun it was, even for him playing in Sheffield, how fun it was to play in Nottingham, just because the crowd is right on you and they're loud and they're energetic, and it's just a real noisy place. And for hockey players, it's actually a really good. The ice is, we always talk about how good ice is, and some places aren't good and some places are good. So as a hockey player, the ice is really good too, and that's what you want. So it was fast, but the crowd, I mean, like I said, one of the best places to play for sure.
And we've mentioned Corey before. Now Corey has become quite an interesting character on this show. He is uniquely himself, is the way I'm going to describe it. How did you find Corey when you first got to meet him face to face?
Yeah, he's a different type of coach for sure. I think he's more of a, like I would call a player's coach. So, communication is really good. I've had a lot of, some coaches that, they were hard to approach, didn't have that open door policy that, I like to have or have an open communication with my coach. So, Corey encouraged that. So, and he was really involved with, charity events and off ice events, and getting us to be involved in the community, and just honestly keeping it fun in the locker room. And sometimes seasons can get long, especially, some of us that travel from the US or Canada. We miss family or friends back home. And I think Corey keeps it pretty light, and keeps it really energetic, and keeps practices fun. So it's sustainable and we don't get burnt out. So I think, when you do have a good team like we had, and you have a coach like Corey, and you can make it pretty far at the end, because you still have a lot of life left.
And then his right-hand man, his little pit bull is Rick Strachan.
Yep.
Whereas Corey's the player, so Rick will be the one who will tell you off.
Oh yeah.
And Rick is quite the character in himself. So how was your relationship with Rick?
I like Rick a lot. No, he was an awesome coach too. He was more on the defensive side, so I didn't interact with him too much down there. I played defense, I think, a couple of times. He pulled me down when we had some injuries or some people out sick. So I had him as a defensive coach a couple of times, but no, they were a good duo. I think he kind of needed the bad cop, good cop a little bit, but they fed off each other really well, and I think obviously we respected them a whole heck of a lot. So. Very good duo there. So,
and then the most consistent part of any British team's roster is the British players themselves. Guys like David Clarke, Matthew Myers, Steve Lee, Robert Farmer, and even a young Ollie Betteridge in the team you played in. Mm-hmm. How important are they to help you guys, like a new import to the league, settle?
Extremely important, because they're the core group of guys. So, and they're the nucleus of the team. So if you don't have a good core group of guys, and then you don't have a good foundation, the rest will fall apart. So you need that nucleus, and those guys, and so many of them too, and not just so many of them, but they were all really good players. I didn't know what to expect coming to England, or even with Germany or Austria. I don't know the level of hockey. Hear things here and there, but I think we get lucky too. We get some of the better players around the country. So, Sheffield, I'm sure gets some too, but, I think we get really lucky in getting some of the top end talent around the country. So, it definitely showed with a lot of those players like Clarke. I was like, wow, these guys are good. You got Robert, you got Lacko, and just Ollie, he's got a shot on him, and, you got everyone. I was very surprised, but without those guys showing us around the town,
You mentioned a guy like Ollie. Ollie now is a veteran on the team, if you can believe it or not.
I know.
And every player that comes by says that guy has one of the best wrist shots I've ever seen. Like, but when you see a player like him, a young British kid, how do you encourage him to shoot more? Because I know he played with you and Stephen for a little bit as well. And you guys were, I think you were on the ice when he actually scored his first goal at the arena.
Yeah, I think we actually had some good chemistry, Schultze and I and Ollie. And I think at first, we'd pass him the puck because he was open, and then he'd kind of not want to let it go for some reason, or he might wanted to pass it back to us. I just think he has to, back then he was still young, and I think getting comfortable with himself and as a player, and what his strengths and weaknesses are. And, once we passed to him, we're like, and we can see him shoot in practice. We know how good his shot was, and he could score goals. So it's like, hey, Ollie, if we give you the puck, it's for a reason. We want you to shoot it. So, towards the end there, after we played for a while, he started to really rip it and started to he actually started to score some goals there at the end of the season, I remember. So, what a shot. And even better on the golf course, you can really hammer the golf ball on the golf course as well.
All hockey players seem to gravitate towards golf. It's like so opposite to hockey in its sereneness. It's like, is it because you need to get away from the chaos?
Yeah. You don't get to get hit in the head. So, unless maybe you're playing in front of someone that doesn't know what they're doing, but maybe if you're playing in front of Schultze, he doesn't know what's going on out there. So, but yeah, I think exactly that. I think it's so opposite that it is nice to get outside and play a relaxing sport. And I think an individual sport too, where we always play team sports, or I've always grown up playing team sports. And so it's nice to actually, maybe have the pressure on yourself once in a while, or, I think that is a difference too.
And one of the challenges about playing in the elite league is that the main priority is, like, as an American, you're grown up to think the playoffs is the main thing. You come to England and the main priority is the league. How hard is that to get your head around after you've been, it's been ingrained in you the opposite way all your life, pretty much?
Yeah, it's a bit of a difference. I think, you got to adapt to wherever you are. And, just playing in England or playing in Germany or playing in Austria, every league is a little bit different. Every practice is a little bit different. How things are run are different. And I just think, and I've played with players from US and Canada that, struggle to adjust to different things, or thought why are we doing things a certain way? I'm so used to, doing, a practice this way or traveling this way. It's like, well, we're not back home anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you got to adapt a little bit here. I can't tell you enough that we're not in the US. So you got to adapt. And I think the players that adapt the quickest have the most success. So, and you got to feed off like I said, when we're talking about the nucleus of the team, and you got to leverage as much as you can the guys that have been around, the leaders on the team, and even the young guys who are from around here, and just kind of follow them around for a while and get used to what they do and how things are run. So, but it was a pretty easy adjustment. And I lived with Schultze, so we lived right downtown, and we just got to walk to the rink, and I miss that. I miss that part for sure. Walking to the rink in the morning, like we were talking about earlier.
You mentioned Stephen Schultz there. You signed in Nottingham before he did. I'm guessing you were badgering him to come and play with you because you guys are good friends.
Yeah, we played with each other a year in the ECHL, and we played against each other in college. So I've known, and juniors, I think, way back. So I've known Schultze for a while, and just made sense. And he was talking to me, and he's an awesome player too. So he can put the puck in the net, as everyone knows. So I was like, hey, might as well come over here too. We could probably live together and score some goals and have some fun. And I know there's a good team coming in too as well. So, and Corey's a good coach who I've spoken to already. So I just thought it was a good fit, and it turned out to be a good fit too.
And everything built up to this. The first league game of the season was a home game against Dundee. It goes all the way to the shootout. And obviously you were a big shootout guy when you were here in Nottingham. Was that something you always done throughout your career? And what was it that you enjoyed about the shootout?
Yeah. I don't know what my stats were in shootout, but I think I only missed maybe one or two, or I'm not sure what it was. I count a lot of that to luck, but no, I practiced shootouts my entire life. I love breakaways, and I like the pressure of it. And just kind of what I was mentioning about golf, where you don't get a lot of individual moments. At least I haven't in my athletic career. I've always played, American football, which is a team sport. Baseball is a team sport. Hockey is a team sport. I never played any individual sports, so it's nice once in a while to be one-on-one with a competitor. And some people shine and some people don't in that under the pressure. But I always enjoyed the one-on-one kind of pressure. And I tried a few different things. One thing that I did try that almost worked every single time when I started doing it was just slowing way down. You see a lot of players now on shootouts, the Patrick Kanes or some of those NHL guys. I was trying to mimic kind of what they were doing. Obviously not as good as what they do, but try to slow way down and just kind of react to what the goalie's doing. And it just seemed to work out more than not that year.
And who won the battle in training between you and Mika then?
Mika probably got me more of the time, but I got him. We'll call it even. I think I got him quite a bit. So, but you don't want to get Mika too upset in practice. You got to watch out for that guy.
I've been told that he was intense. Is the word I've been told about Mika at practice and pre. Like, don't talk to him pre-game as well.
Yeah. Don't hit him in the head in practice. Don't hit him in the arm in practice. Don't score on him in practice. I don't know what to do. Just shoot it by him, hit the boards. I'm not sure what we were supposed to do. So then in warmups, I don't know if we were supposed to score or just turn around and go back into the back of the line, basically. So yeah, he was intense.
Goalies are a different breed, I believe is the term.
I would say. I think Cam Janssen made a great goalie too.
Now, speaking of Cam, the first big addition to this team is that Cam comes in. What were your thoughts when you first got wind that he was going to join the team?
Excited for sure. It's always nice to have a guy like Cam on your team. I've been on teams where we don't have anyone like Cam on your team, and it can be a bit of a struggle, especially when you're playing, teams that have some big guys like Cardiff that year, the last couple of years in that small little rink. And if you don't have some big players, you can kind of get pushed around a little bit. So it is nice to have, Cams, and they're so much appreciated by the guys on the team for what he brings to the table and what he can do. And yeah, having a guy like Cam that has been in the NHL for that long and a leader, I think everyone was super excited. I don't think anyone knew what to expect. And he surprised you every single day with some of the things that he did or said in the locker room. It was a constant riot in the locker room. Never, just always surprised by Cam. Let's just say that. But what a good guy and what a good leader and what a huge asset to that team.
His presence, from watching that, from the stand sort of thing, his presence on that team seemed infectious. He always had that big smile on his face. He'd always you could hear the crowd, when he was lining up a hit, it was like the Jaws thing. It was like, ooh, bang. And
yep.
I get goosebumps just thinking about that type of thing now. So that, for you guys, for what he did that on the ice must have really got you guys going.
Oh yeah. You just, you follow Cam's lead, and, if we're, down by a couple or up by a couple, Cam is constantly boisterous on the bench, and if he's not boisterous and leading by his words on the bench, he's definitely making noise on the ice, whether that's scoring a goal, making a nice pass, making a good play, or hitting someone through the boards or hitting the boards himself, or fighting someone. So he is always making an impact on the team, and was super happy for him too that year because. Obviously playing in the NHL, I don't think he got a lot of ice time or as much as he wanted to. So it was really fun to see him transition as a player, coming from a limited role in the NHL to England, where, you got to play now. So it was, I think it was an adjustment for him at first, especially with the big ice too, and trying to, line players up. It's the NHL ice is a lot smaller and a little bit easier to hit. So I think he had an adjustment there, but it was fun to see him progress as a player. And he got so much better as time went on and got a lot more comfortable with the puck on his stick and be able to make plays and score some goals. And it was super fun to watch.
And that's a forward. Would you have liked to go up against that line of him, Larry, and Farms?
No, absolutely not. No. Schultze and I would have probably changed if that was the line we were going up against every night.
Now, the next addition to this team gave you and Schultze a very chippy member on your line when David Ling comes into the team.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's a guy with a reputation when he comes in from what he did the last time he was in the Elite League. What do you remember about David Ling?
Just, I know, it was almost like a surreal human in the locker room. I don't know if it was a cartoon character or a sci-fi character. I couldn't believe some of the things, his stories that he would say. I was like, I can't believe you've done that. Like, wow. You know, just from that Zamboni story, I'm sure everyone knows, you know, just that story alone. And then I watched the video. I was just like, wow, this guy is a cartoon character. But an unbelievable hockey player for sure. I definitely was surprised, you know, he was a little bit older and coming, you know what I mean? And a little out of shape probably when he came, you know, put it lightly, but wow, that guy is, you can also, another player, you know, you can tell that he played in the NHL, or he's got that level of skill that's just a little bit, you know, superior than some of the rest of us. So that's why he made it. So he can do some incredible things on the ice, and obviously an awesome addition and to the team. And I got a couple games where I played on the line with him, and it was just easy. He just makes the game really, really easy for you, and as a line mate. And if you don't get a lot of points playing with David Ling, then you're doing something wrong. So it's just backdoor after backdoor after backdoor. So, and you get a lot of entertainment out there while you're playing with him too. Maybe a couple fish hooks in the corner, or who knows what you're going to get.
So the question has to be then, because he always used to go down the stand where Greener stood, like, so he could shout at the other team. What's the best chirp you heard him give someone, if one sticks in the memory?
I don't know if I've ever heard him say anything, but I think I saw him bite a guy's finger in the corner one time through the glove, which I thought was, one, disgusting, because it was in the middle of a game, but two, just so creative, you know, because he was trying to protect the puck, and I think the guy was trying to get it from him, the other player. I don't know where we were, Dundee or somewhere, but I think he was battling the guy in the corner, and somehow the guy's glove got under his visor, and then he just was like, I guess I'll bite that. And then the guy got off and got the puck, and out he went. So, I mean, creative, but I was just like kind of standing there astonished looking at it, but I probably got a goal on that because he probably gave me a backdoor pass after that. So yeah, just some, you know, every game was something for sure.
Another guy you wouldn't want to line up against.
No. Again, kind of, you know, probably wouldn't think much of him, you know, because he's a little bit shorter in stature, but strong guy, and knows what he's doing too. When the gloves come off, he knows his way around the fighting scene. So yeah, another guy I wouldn't want to mess with.
So when those two guys join the team, the grind of the season is well underway at this point. You're experiencing all these different rinks in the Elite League, and every rink in the Elite League is an experience, especially with Manchester being introduced to the league that year. I've not heard one player say they enjoyed going to play there. I can't remember, was the tent still in Cardiff at that stage, or did they have their proper arena?
Nope, it was the old one.
So another place, not many compliments get thrown around about there. You get to go up to Fife, which is very hostile at the best of times. You get to go to Coventry, same thing. What did you make of the different rinks and the different experiences that they gave you?
Yeah, I personally like it. I like the change, and it's not, you don't get the same thing every single time. Obviously, there's challenges. I like playing in a little bit of a nicer rink where, you know, if you walk outside the locker room, you're not going to walk on sand or rocks or something, where you're doing some of those other rinks, you know, or maybe they're just when you come in. But it's mostly the showers, I think, what are the biggest trouble. Some of the showers in these opposing rinks are, you know, the water barely comes out. It's cold. But yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of different aspects about a lot of those different rinks, whether it's the crowds or the locker rooms are smaller or bigger. Some guys like playing there, some guys don't. Maybe Corey likes playing at some places, maybe he doesn't. So, but again, you got one job, and that's to get there and get off the bus and get ready for a game and play hockey, no matter what it is. But like I was saying about the showers, I think that's what we dread the most. I think on the team bus, like, oh, we got to play, and, you know, Coventry, oh, they got all their showers are cold and the water barely comes out and we're not gonna be able to get clean after. So I'd say that's the biggest difference.
And then it gets built up a lot on both sides. But is there anything quite like Nottingham versus Sheffield?
What a good rivalry is between Nottingham and Sheffield, and just makes it so interesting that you play so many times in a year that you get so used to the other team and the players on the other team, where it really does become pretty aggressive games and competitive games, and they're super fun games, and the crowds on both sides are awesome, and I like playing there and they like playing here, and it's a short bus ride too, so there's not a lot of downtime in between games or in between those trips, and everyone's ready to go, and you're walking to a hostile environment, a hostile crowd with a hostile team, and I love those games, and I think it's important to have, and I always enjoyed them. I always enjoyed beating them, hated losing to them, but yeah, I miss those are some of the games that I miss too, playing hockey. So
Then how much is that intensified, amplified in those back-to-backs at Christmas?
yeah, very intense. Any back-to-back games that you have, especially when you're playing a team or that has the caliber of players that they do, and they're always at the top of the league. Whether it's Nottingham has a target on their back because always a good organization, always has a good team. Whether it's Sheffield, you always want to take down those teams and reign over them and try to beat them every single time you play them. It's hard to do. They're always good, but yeah, during the middle of the year, especially around Christmas when you do those back-to-back games, I always look forward to those. But they are tough. You're going to walk away with a lot of bruises and a lot of scratches, and there's going to be some fights, and you're going to get hacked, and you're going to get tossed to the ground. But those games are what you play for. So
That's it. There's nothing quite like Nottingham when that arena's full and the fans are in full voice, is there?
I loved coming out to play a game, especially a good. I think we packed it most times and not, especially when we have a good team and the fans come out, and even when they're struggling, the fans are great and they come out and watch you play. So and they're behind you. So, but when you're good and you're playing well and the fans are excited and there's a good team coming into town, and whether it's Sheffield or someone else, yeah, it's when it's packed in there, it's yeah. Now just talking about it gives me kind of the goosebumps thinking about standing up there and listening to the national anthem, and it's fun. Those are the parts of walking out and getting ready for games, and when it's going to be a packed stadium, everyone's going to be there. I think that's what I miss the most, and getting ready with the guys in the locker room and coming out to a packed stadium, and it's so loud, and when you score, it's I miss that most probably about playing. So
well, you got to bring the teddies down.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when I was saying that. When you do have a packed house with especially on teddy bear toss night or whatever it is, if there's a different charity going on, yeah, I remember scoring that goal. I think it was Clarke that gave me a cross ice pass. So, and then that started off, and yeah, all the teddy bears came raining down, and there was a lot of them for sure. So it took a while to pick up.
So now the question is, that is a cool moment. It's a cool visual. Does it disrupt the momentum on the ice after a goal? Because that's the big debate. Like the thing is that the opposition probably love it because it kills the momentum. How does that work for a player?
Yeah, well, one, it depends on how many teddy bears are being tossed, but in that situation, there was a lot. So it did take a good, 10 to 20 minutes to get everything cleaned up, maybe even more. So I think it was pretty early in the game as well. So if I can remember correctly. So yeah, it does take a lot out of you. You got to kind of, guys are skating around and while the time's off and trying to warm up their legs and get warmed up, because maybe some of them haven't even had to play the shift yet. Or I'm not sure exactly how early it was scored, but yeah, it kind of takes some momentum out of the game. But again, coming back to, you just got to adjust and adapt to the situation and, go play.
And whilst these league games are picking up, on the side, you've also got the Challenge Cup is still happening. Now, that must be pretty strange having a mid-season competition going off at the same time as the main competition.
I honestly didn't even know what was going on with the Challenge Cup most of the year. I was just apparently we're playing for another trophy in some of these games, and just don't even tell me about it, honestly, until we get to the championship, because I don't know if these are Challenge Cup games or these season games some of the times. But honestly, once I started to figure out, and all joking aside, what it meant and how cool it is, and then once we got there and we played in Sheffield and it was packed in Sheffield, and I was like, oh, okay, well, knowing before that how important it is, but I thought it was really cool. I don't think in any other league they have like a separate, championship during the season while it's going on, apart from the end of the year championship. So I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and then winning that was really, really fun in Sheffield too. And yeah, I'll never forget some of those. Still have some of those pictures framed, and some of the coolest pictures that I have actually are from that Challenge Cup game that we won. But yeah, very interesting. But I really liked it, and we got to get 2 trophies that year. So more the merrier for sure.
And before you got to that final, you got to, and I imagine this must be the most satisfying out of all the, even though you won 2 championships, the most satisfying game must be that 8-0 win in Sheffield's little rink after they tried to cause the massive stink about it.
Oh yeah, that was just destroyed them in that rink. That was, I mean, we could not stop scoring. It was crazy. I didn't know how that game was going to go, playing in that rink and no fans, and just kind of playing like a scrimmage almost. It felt like at some point, but hey, it was point night for the Panthers, so we'll take it.
I mean, it's point night when even Cam gets on the board. So.
Hey, yep, point night for sure.
And another key person who joined the team, he'd been to Coventry, he'd been to Sheffield, and then he came to Nottingham, was Chris Lawrence. Now, Chris is from what I said, again, it's that word again, character. He is who he is. They call him the loon for a reason. Tell me about Chris Lawrence in that locker room.
Chris is what a great guy, and what a fun guy to have on the team, and a really good hockey player too. So big and strong, and such an asset to have on your team in so many different areas, whether that's on the power play or the penalty kill or just 5-on-5 and taking face-offs. And he's tough too, so he's impossible to move off the puck. I remember playing against him in Coventry. I was like, man, this guy's big, and he's really good at draws, and he's so strong, and so it's nice to have him on our side. And yeah, he just, again, by the end of the year with all those guys that we had on the team, we were pretty stacked by the end of the year, and we had 4 good lines rolling, and it was really hard to beat us. And Larry just added another piece to the puzzle that, especially from another centerman's standpoint, it's nice to have, especially when you have a guy like Larry. He doesn't lose face-off draws. So if you need to win a big draw, you put Larry out there. He's so big and strong that it's so important to have a guy like that you can trust out there. So, but yeah, in the locker room, what a character for sure. We want to, top 5 characters probably I've met in the locker room. Probably top 4 of the biggest characters I've ever met have already been on that team, including Cam and David Ling and Larry and some other guys. So, on the ice, awesome. Off the ice was even more fun. So I enjoyed going to the locker room every single day, and it was a sight to see in there for sure.
Then you got the forward lines get sorted with Chris's addition the phone. Then Corey pulls out 2 incredible defensemen out of nowhere at the deadline in January. You add Kevin Quick and Franklin McDonald to this mix, and that's when things really started to roll in that run in January to April.
Yep. That's when we really started to shut down. Not only we can always score. We didn't have a problem scoring, and not that we had a problem playing defense either. But when you add 2 caliber players like that to the back end, it's just one defensive player stay at home, makes good first passes. So you need guys like that. And then Quick was an unbelievable skater, and he can move the puck around and play a power play and play penalty kill. And yeah, it just made things a lot easier on the back end for the forwards. And when you look at that roster now, it's just like, wow. I mean, that roster could play in a lot of different leagues and play really and be very competitive in some of the top leagues in Europe for sure. I would have thought.
And the one thing that roster did very well is that you dealt David Ling leaving would obviously have created a massive hole in that team, and he left in the most David Ling way possible. Scores a hat trick, gets thrown out of a game for slashing in Dundee. The most
Yep.
incredible bookend to a story ever. But the team didn't let that get them down. You can't when you take a guy like that out, who at whatever age he was then was the top guy points per game in the league, despite coming in late.
Yep.
It speaks to the character of that team as a whole.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if it made a difference that he came later too and then left earlier, so he wasn't part of the beginning. But still, he was there for a good amount of time where he was part of the team, and guys liked having him on the team and on the bus rides. He was great, and obviously you can count on him scoring a couple points a night. So I like playing with him on the line. It was sad to see him leave, but yeah, and we had it all goes back to that core group of guys, the core leadership team. Again, having a good foundation and a group of guys like that is so important on any team, or if you're in an organization or wherever that is to have that core group of guys that you can rely on, and plus, having good leadership too to get you through it. So Corey did a great job of handling that.
Now that Challenge Cup final in Sheffield against Cardiff, is that a fun game to play in when it's 0-0 for so long?
Yeah.
It's wave after wave of Panthers attack, and they're soaking it up every time.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is actually, you probably wouldn't think it'd be fun, but you're always on the edge of your seat, whether you're a fan or if you're a player either. I don't think anyone is ever sitting on the bench unless you're completely gassed and tired and need a breather. But, most guys were standing up on the bench because it was such a tight game and it meant so much. And we've had a lot of close battles, and we want to beat Cardiff. A lot of guys want to beat Cardiff. Probably want to beat them almost more sometimes than anyone else, just because the way they play and the way
they had the incident with Brad Moran and
the
Tyson
incident with
Moss.
Brad Moran, and a lot of different things that go into that game. But they're a team that you really, really want to beat as well. And yeah, they're always a good defensive. They were a good defensive team that year, so it was just tough to get through. But finally we pulled through, and that was an awesome win. That was super fun.
So when Evan scores that goal in overtime, what is the instant reaction? What is is it, oh, it's a goal, or does it hit you straight away that that's a championship win?
Yeah, I think it hits you straight away. I think everyone's ready to, anytime that anyone had a scoring chance, we were ready to jump over the bench. Just like, let's get this thing over with. Let's go home. Maybe have a couple of beers on the bus on the way home or what have you. But and just enjoy this as a group of guys and together. And when he scores that, it's just like, it's like, all right, at least we're not going to have to play like 4 or 5 overtimes tonight. Like, no one wants to do that. But just to pull out the first, that was our first goal, was to win that championship. So just to knock off the first goal of the year, win that championship, I think was super important. I think we all felt if we win this, that's just going to give us more confidence, momentum to finish out the end of the year. And it did. And I think we just came closer as a team. And after winning that, and had a fun night after that, that's for sure.
And it's like you mentioned, it gives you that taste for success, doesn't it? Like, you win a championship, at that point, you want to win another one before the season's over.
Yep, and we know how to do it too. I think you have that now. You have that skill, and you have that memory of what you need to do and how we played and what it took to win not only a championship but a 0-0 game. That means a lot, and now we know what it takes. So we just brought that into the final 2 games in the championship in Nottingham, and we pulled it out for sure. But I think we were going to be hard to beat. I think we all thought, we don't want to say that, we have a good chance or what the percentage of winning this is. But I think if you talk to a lot of the guys in the locker room or ask them questions, how you thought going into that weekend, what are the chances? And I think we'd all say pretty good.
What are you getting told about this play? Because obviously, from what I've been told, the only thing that compares to the playoff weekend is the Frozen Four from the NCAA. That's the only comparison I've ever been given, like from someone from North America. What are you getting told as you're building up to this? Because you've got to get through Belfast first, which is a ridiculous tie to have to go through to make this weekend, because they didn't have I think they finished below us, sort of thing.
Yep.
So they had an off year, which meant you had one of the big teams was going to miss out. So what are you getting told about this weekend as it's all building up and you're taking on Belfast?
Yeah, you gotta get through Belfast, which is also a very good team. I think we've done well with them that year pretty much. But again, playing in Belfast is always a challenge. They're always going to bring it. I love playing there personally. I like that rink and playing there. And
Everyone likes the double header there.
yeah, and everyone likes the doubleheader there. It's a good place to play. It's fun. It's a good town and fun to play. So, but yeah, that was the first challenge, getting by them. But I, beat them pretty good. But like you said, Frozen Four is probably the closest that I played in the Frozen Four as well, and it's probably the closest thing that I could think of that would come close to the final weekend. Just because when you have all the fans there, or different teams there, or the league in general is represented, it doesn't even matter if your team's there. And I had a similar experience like that when I played in college as well. We had an end of the year or middle of the year tournament, or the league I played in. So even if your team didn't make that tournament, it was called the Final Five. Every team was represented by their fans around the league. So it was really cool to see. So that felt like that a little bit, but still really cool to see. And I had one of my best friends come over as well, from the States. So he was there all weekend, almost the whole week leading up to it, staying with me. So, and he's never been over to England before, or Europe in general. So he still, that's one of his favorite times was coming and watching us play and seeing the rink and coming in the locker room after we won and, enjoying that moment with me and all the guys. So I'll never forget that weekend. What a fun weekend that was.
Does it help is it a benefit to the Panthers that it's held in that arena, even though the crowd is different, half of it's booing you, half of it's cheering you? Does it help just being in that familiar environment?
100%. You're playing at home. I mean, I walked to the rink, so I didn't even have a car when I lived there. So Schultz and I would just walk to the rink. I think he'd get there about an hour earlier than I did. He's a bit of a nerd, but we got to walk to the rink. So is there an advantage of me walking to the rink rather than driving 10 hours for a game? Yeah, I think so. And just being comfortable with the staff at the rink, and we still get that home crowd advantage too. So, and dressing in your own locker room and going through the same routines on a game day like you would if it's a regular season game, I think nothing changes. So yeah, I think it'd be tough to say that it's not an advantage for sure.
And also the draw with that, and there's no quote unquote easy game, but getting Fife at that stage was easier than playing Cardiff or Coventry in the semi-final. So, but that must have added a bit of extra pressure. Like, oh, we're supposed to win this game now, and on this big stage.
Yeah, I don't like playing those like trap games, I guess you could call it, where you should beat them, but and everyone thinks you should beat them, but they're still a good team. They're there for a reason. I think you just got to remember that, Fife is a sneaky good team that year, and they have some guys that can score. So if you're not paying attention, they can put up 3 or 4 goals on you in a period. And then all of a sudden now you're struggling to, bounces aren't going your way. You're struggling. So yeah, it doesn't matter when it comes to those games at the end of the year, anyone can win. You gotta prepare like you're playing, Cardiff or Sheffield or one of those teams. It doesn't matter. You still got to win a game.
And you go through to the final against Coventry, and Coventry were built to play a certain way. They had a very good netminder in Brian Stewart. I'll say he's a bit of an oddball character with all his mannerisms that he had between plays and things, and certainly had a special relationship with the Panthers fans that he made off his own back with his antics and things. But they rely on him for the way they played. When you're going into that game, do you know that's what you're in for? We're in for this defensive battle. It's going to be, and like I say, you can lean back off that game against Cardiff in Sheffield because that's what they're going to bring to the table.
Yep. Yeah, and playing against Stewart, we played against him a few times in Germany as well, and he can steal games for sure. But you can score on him if you know how to play against him. You just got to get him moving around a little bit and get in his head, and say some things when you're behind the net, or let him know you're there a little bit. But he's tough to play against, and that team, obviously, he was the nucleus of that team, so they knew how to play around him as well. So yeah, they were there for a reason as well. They could beat teams, and they were hard to play against, and they were really hard to play against in Coventry that year. really difficult. But I think if you understand how Stewart plays, there's some weaknesses in his game that you can find. And I don't know how many we put up on him, like 4 maybe or something that game. I can't remember.
It was
but
2. It was only 2 now.
Was it 2? Okay.
There were times in the league where we did light him up at home, but the final was 2.
Okay. Yeah. So didn't matter if it was 1-0, 2-0, 4-0, but
we won.
We won the game. We won the game. That's all I remember. But I think Mac had a goal there too, Logan. So yeah, if you understand how to play and get him out of the net, I think it's just like any other good goalie.
I think it was Stephen that scored the game winner on a shot through a screen. How happy were you how much joy does it give you to see your best, like your friend, score that goal? I don't know if you're best friends or what it is. How much does it add the excitement to it for you?
It's good, and he had a bit of a rough year. He broke his ankle, or
Yes.
I can't remember if it was a break, or I think it was a break.
It was that horrible incident against Edinburgh.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. So I was there for that and had to help him get back to recovery. Because he was my roommate, so I had to listen to him whine all the time when he was at home with his leg up in the air and complaining about not playing. So I was just sick of that more than anything. So I was happy to see him get back on the ice and impact and have an impact on the team at the end of the year, which we all know he would because he's such a good player. So it's good to get him back and then get him back in full shape and have him score at the end there. I think was good for him because he was missing playing, and I think it was a sad few months for him there. A little bit of a struggle for him. So it was good to see him. Good to see him come back and play. And Schultz and I are still friends. He lives out in New York, but I moved to New York City for a year, and we got to play a little golf when I was out there. So we still keep in touch. It
was one of those shit like it's very rare in hockey that you get a moment in a season where the entire arena is hushed, and that happened twice. With Stephen and with the Tyson Marsh thing, the whole arena is sort of eerily quiet. What do those kind of, obviously there's a different story behind each one and why and what led to them, but what do those kind of moments do to a bench, when everything's like, is it because that kind of like hockey players are treated as superheroes, and that kind of can almost open up a mortality, viewpoint sort of thing?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you're a player, you think you're invincible, especially if you haven't been hurt for a while or just minor injuries, but then, it comes to realization that this is a dangerous game and you can get hurt. Even if you're super careful, you got guys flying around every which direction. You got the Cam Janssens of the world trying to take your head off. So it opens up possibilities for injuries. And when something like that happens, when Schultz breaks his ankle, no one knows what it is. It's just, he's hurt bad by the way it sounded and by the way he screamed and the way he was down on the ice. So whether you're on, our team or if you're the away team playing, you're not a hockey player anymore. You're just you're just a person, and you hope that person on the ice is okay and can come back to playing soon. And hopefully, worst case scenario is that he's not done forever, which I think goes through everyone's mind. So that's scary too. So try to rally around him and hopefully he's okay. But yeah, when those big injuries happen, or if it's a Tyler Marsh, it doesn't matter if you're on that team or what team you're on. You're just a human being, and you're hopefully that person's okay.
And then the who to goes on the playoff final. You've won 2-0. Does that then say what you managed to accomplish? I still think you're the last Panthers team to win a domestic trophy, so you kind of got that legacy still there. Does it soak in like what you've done that you've managed to achieve a domestic double, which not a lot of teams win 2 trophies in the UK?
No, yeah, I think it's, like we've been talking about this entire time, what a good group of guys. And it doesn't matter if you're in business, you're in hockey, or what industry you're in the world. It matters so much, and that you have a good team and you have good culture and you have good leadership, and it doesn't matter where you are. And keep on going back to the core group of British guys that we had on the team. Without those guys, everything else would have fell apart. So when I look back onto that year and what we accomplished with the 2 championships, and I always look back on the closeness we had as a group of guys and how much we hung out outside of the rink. And, I miss going to, having the British guys show me around all the new restaurants and going to lunch after practice every day. And that's what I miss, and hanging out with those guys. And hanging out in the locker room and messing with everyone in practice and in the games. And we had a really fun year. And I think that, it shows on the ice when you have a fun year, when you have a good group of guys, and you can accomplish a lot of things when you have good culture and good people and good leadership. So, yeah, hopefully they can do it again. I don't mind having the last team to do it. Don't kid yourself, but no, I hope I hope to get back there at some point too. Watch a game and come visit the city, bring some friends over, watch a couple games, so that's on my list as well.
And then the cool thing is that the last time the fans would have seen Andy Bohmbach in a Panther shirt is when you get to go on the balcony after you win the playoffs. And that must be, when you see that plaza just full of Panthers fans. So you didn't get to win the Challenge Cup at home, but you get to win this one. You get to go out on the balcony, you get to see the plaza. How cool is that for a player to see?
Super fun. Wasn't expecting that either as well. So, and I haven't won a championship, since I was probably 18 or so. Been to a couple of championship games, but I haven't won one in a while. And so it was awesome to win the last game. And, I kind of thought I was done at that point. Wasn't 100% sure, but, I was probably 90% sure that was probably it for me. So it was kind of bittersweet for me. It was obviously super exciting and couldn't have ended my career on a better note, but at the same time, pretty sad. I was thinking it was my last game. So what a cool experience to go out that way and to hold the trophies over your head and have the fans down there feeling the front courtyard, and wasn't expecting that, but well, yeah, what a cool experience to share that with everyone, the fans and the people and the staff and the organization and the players, and everyone was so fun and everyone was so supportive, and what a cool experience. Yeah.
And you mentioned bittersweet there. Obviously, you said like you were 90% sure. Does that allow you then to take that that extra moment to soak it all in a bit more and appreciate it all a little bit more in that, because you're that sure in your head that this is it?
I think it does. Just kind of the last probably few weeks of the season, when it's come down to whether I had 5-10 games left, kind of thinking, maybe do I want to, should I be done? Should I not be done? Because it kind of that going through your head. But, every game that kind of counted down towards the end, I was excited, but also, every time I tied up the skates or put on my equipment, I can only do this a couple more times. So you better enjoy it and you better take advantage of it. And like you said, get lost in the moment and just really try to enjoy it. Don't worry about anything else, all the minor details and everything like that. Just, enjoy those walks, coming into the rink and open your eyes and smell the fresh air and kind of look back on your career every time I walked into that rink, and at least those final games. But probably the most excited I've ever been playing games. And just because I think I enjoyed it like you said, maybe on a different level than I would have if I knew I was playing another year. But yeah, just, I miss it too at the same time, but yeah, I couldn't have ended on a better note. I'm super grateful that it ended that way.
And you mentioned like equipment and things. And one person who, for some reason, I decided to grease his gears and big up his ego even more than I should is Goody. And his staff, like Razor and Simon and people. How important are those guys? So they're the understated heroes, aren't they, of that team?
Super important. I mean, Goody was probably one of the best, if not the best, equipment manager that I've had. Just strictly off the time he put in. I've never seen an equipment manager put in so much time. He was always there, constantly, and thank his family for allowing him to do that. But yeah, what an awesome guy! What an awesome group of staff that we had at the team. And you need that. You need people that that actually care and aren't just thinking of it as a job, but that are actually invested into the team and invested into the outcomes that we're trying to accomplish. So. And Goody was awesome. He was, I've had some other equipment managers that haven't been so great, or battle with you, but if you ask for something, within reason, Goody would help you out. So yeah, I'm glad that he's had so much success there.
And then from everything you said, it's so clear that Nottingham is a huge part of, it's meant a lot to you to play in Nottingham and the experiences you've had here. But I do have one rule on this show, and that's it. From your time in Nottingham, it can be on ice or off ice, a story that just makes you laugh.
A story that makes me laugh. Man, there's so many of them probably that I.
There always seems to be a lot that aren't safe to tell.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to, filter through my head right now is, the Cam Janssen stories. You got the David Ling stories. So many bus stories. It's got to be a Cam Janssen story in there somewhere that I think is funny. That's probably, the first time, I probably interacted with Cam. No idea who he is. I have some friends. He's from St. Louis, and I have some friends from St. Louis as well that kind of know Cam a little bit. So they gave me the inside scoop on kind of the character he is. But once you meet him, you're like, whoa, this guy's got a lot of energy. And I thought it was funny. I think it was the first maybe a couple of weeks he just came here, and he came from the NHL. So a little bit different of an experience coming from the NHL to playing in Europe, just from, just the money in general. You know what I mean? Like when you're in the NHL, you don't even have to pack your own bag. They pack it for you. They put it on the plane. You're flying charter flights. So, I mean, so it's very different than playing in the NHL, and, everyone knows who you are. I mean, most people knew who Cam was, after a while here, of course, but when he was first arrived, some of the people working around the rink, not part of the organization itself, but just part of people of the rink. I think one time he walked in and it might've been a game day. I think when he played in the NHL, he knew everyone, all the rink staff. He would say hi to all the rink staff coming in, and they know, Cam Janssen is coming into the rink today. So he enjoyed that coming in the rink. And I think the first maybe week or two, he was in Nottingham. I don't think anyone knew who he was, especially just the random people or just the people working around the rink that were not affiliated with the Panthers. And he'd go up and they were like, I don't know who you are, man. Like, why are you shaking my hand or whatever? And he couldn't get it over his head or get it in his head that they didn't know who Cam Janssen was when he was walking in the rink. And how does no one know my name here? I'm like, wake up, Cam. I don't think anyone knows you are here right now. I just Cam stories were so funny to me. I think another one too. I think it was his first game. I know I mentioned how much bigger the ice is, the Olympic ice sheet it is than the NHL size sheets, and they can be really small. So I think it was the first period. After the first period, we came in. This first game, he came over, and he was trying to line a guy up, forechecking. He's trying to hit a guy, and the ice is so big they can see it coming for a ways away. And I think Cam wasn't expecting how big the ice was either, so it took a while to get to the guy before he could hit him, and the guy kind of just simply stepped out of the way, saw Cam coming, and then Cam slammed in the boards. And he came into the locker room after that, and he was just so frustrated because of how hard it is to hit someone, because they can see him coming from a mile away, and he's going 1,000 miles an hour, and they just kind of step out of the way, and he slams his head into the boards. So he's pretty frustrated after that. But yeah, most of the stories are probably not appropriate to say on air, but those are some of the funnier ones.
Was that when you mentioned earlier about the stories David Ling would tell you? He came over for a testimonial last year, and I had him on here, and he said to me stories about how when he was on a team in their AHL or something, he stole the team bus and hid it behind an airport hangar and got traded that afternoon. So so when you say you wouldn't believe some of the stories, trust me, I will believe anything about David Ling anyone tells me.
Yeah, David Lynn's, he's got an index of stories, I'm sure, that's a mile long, just about himself. So, yeah, he's what a bunch of characters for sure on that team. And yeah, I enjoyed that year tremendously.
Well, I'm sure I speak for a lot of Panthers fans. I do hope you make it back to Nottingham at some stage, because it would be wonderful to see you back in the arena.
I would love to come back. Absolutely. Hopefully one day get back there and do a shootout again, or even if it's not on the ice, just to be around and have some good restaurants and have some good food, and just hopefully some of the guys are still around that I can see. I miss a lot of those guys, Farmy and all those guys. So, and Lacko and Clarke, and
Well, Lacko's part of the
hopefully
furniture now. Lacko's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. We can, yeah.
And Ollie's
But,
25, so Ollie will still be here.
Yeah, Ollie's still a young cat, so yeah. Who knows? Maybe try to get back in the hockey world at some point too. I've thought about maybe trying to get back into coaching or something of that effect. So who knows? Maybe Nottingham in my life will come back and meet once again. We'll see. You never know.
Well, Andy, I can't thank you. I know you're a busy man. I can't thank you enough for your time today. I really hope you've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane.
I do. And I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out, and love to talk Panther hockey again whenever. So it's fun for me to, like you said, relive some of these memories, and sometimes you don't think about it as much until you have a conversation with someone. But I enjoyed it a lot, and back to the grind of the normal working day. So no, I appreciate it.
"10 years ago, the Nottingham set out to do good in its local communities. Since then, we have donated more than £1.2 million to help them thrive, just like our founder, Samuel Fox. Visit us at thenottingham.com to find out more.